What is up, guys? My name is Lex. I'm here at Harrahs Pompano Beach. I'm switching it up though today. Instead of playing cash games, we're playing a tournament. WSOP circuit event. It's a ring event. It's a main event. $1,700 buy-in. The staff here was nice enough to give me a free roll ticket into this tournament, which means I pay $0 and I could potentially win up to $300,000. I'm excited for this. Hopefully we can run good. The last time I played a tournament, things did not go my way. Set over set, queens cracked. I busted out in nasty fashion. We're going to do better today. Let's get down to the table. Let's get to the action. Let's go. I late register into this tournament about 3.5 hours in. We're in level number 6, 40,000 starting stack, blinds at 400, 800. First hand I play, I get pocket queens. I raise to 2,000, get 3 callers, and go 4 ways to a king, queen, 3 flop, making middle set. I bet $2,500 and get 2 calls. Turn card 4 diamonds. I continue now for a $7,000 bet, and only the cutoff player makes a call. We're now heads up to the 9 of clubs on the river. This does bring in Jack 10 for a straight, but I don't think he's going to have that hand very often. I think he's most likely going to have a King X hand here, like King Jack, King 10, King 9. The pot is pretty big, over 25,000. I've got about 27,000 in my stack. So I decide to go for it and rip it all in. My very first hand of this WSOP circuit ring event, I am all in. When I don't get snap called here, I can let out a sigh of relief. He doesn't have Jack 10 for the nuts. He doesn't have pocket kings for a bigger set than me. We are rooting for a call. Looking back, maybe I was a little bit too greedy here with this bet. Not too many people want to go broke within the first 6 levels of the day. Probably should have just bet something like 15,000. Which would have ended up getting a call when my opponent says he had King 10 and folds. We end up winning a decent pot here with pocket queens. We're off to a good start. Just a few hands later, I min-raise ace-jack offsuit from early position. There's a call from the button, call from the big blind, 3 ways to a jack-high flop. Top pair, top kicker for me. I bet big here, 4,000. Only the big blind makes a call. Turn gives me trips, another jack. I continue now for a $5,500 bet, and the big blind makes the call again. River card double pairs the board. We now have a full house. We're only losing to pocket 3s for quads and jack 9 for a bigger full house. I bet smaller according to the size of the pot, just 7,000 chips. This time my opponent folds, and we do take down another pot, 2 for 2 so far on the day. About 30 minutes go by, it folds to me in the small blind. I jam 10-9 offsuit versus the big blinds, 10 big blinds, and he calls with ace high. The flop is no good, but the turn gives us top pair, and we stack a short stack, adding 10 big blinds to our stack. So far, within the couple levels of the day, we have doubled our starting stack, sitting now with 80,000 chips. Perfect for us. Blinds are at 600 and 1,200. We then get moved to a new table where I sit down and get dealt in pocket jacks. It folds to the small blind who raises to 3,900. I 3-bet to 10,000 and he makes the call. Not a great flop of king, queen, 8. When he checks to me, I bet 1/4 the size of the pot. I bet 5,000 and he makes the call. Turn card, another king. He checks, I check back. River 3, he checks, I check back again. And we lose to king 8 for a full house. That was the first significant pot that we've lost on the day, still with around 65k in chips. This hand is very interesting. Under the gun races to 3,000. I've got kings on the button and decide to slow play here pre-flop and just make the call. The big blind calls. My reasons for slow playing here is that I think the big blind could be squeezing sometimes, and also the short stack from under the gun, I want to allow him to be in there with weaker hands. Well, we go 3 ways to a 9-7 deuce, 2 diamond board. Early position initial raiser bets 10,000 chips with 20,000 chips left behind. I could raise now, but I still don't see too much point in that given the fact that I slow played pre-flop. I want early position player to continue to bet worse hands, and also maybe the big blind to be in there with worse hands as well. So I continue with the trap and just call 10,000. Now the big blind doesn't fold his cards just yet, which makes me a little bit worrisome. He could have some 2 pairs, maybe some sets on this board. He covers me and decides to go all in. Under the gun goes all in as well for 20,000 more. I call because I'm never going to be folding kings here and get shown 2 flush draws. The opponent in the big blind has a straightened flush draw with jack-8 diamonds. Early position player has deuce 4 of diamonds for a pair and a flush draw. We got to fade the world here. The turn card is a black card, safe for us. And the river card is another safe card. Holy crap. We basically triple up in this spot. We were all in for our tournament life with pocket kings and win a huge one when my opponents all missed their outs. Wow, the adrenaline is rushing right now. I have about 65,000 chips. We get a full double up from the big blind and also win around 30,000 from the other player as well. Huge pot for us. Let's go. That hand put us in a great position to just keep cruising along. 140k in my stack now from a 40k starting stack. Next up, I raise King 10. The same player who jammed all in with the straight and flush draw goes all in for around 10 big blinds. I call with King 10, and we're racing against pocket 7s. We hit a pair and add another 11,000 chips to our stack. About a half an hour later, I get moved to my third table of the day. We then go on a dinner break and come back to level number 10. Blinds are at 2,000, sitting pretty good. 72 players left. Let's just keep it rolling. There's now an early position raised to 7,000. The button makes the call for 7,000. The small blind makes the call, and I call as well in the big blind with 7-8 suited. We're 4 ways now to 3, 7, 8. Top 2 pair for us on a rainbow flop. I check. Initial raiser now bets 11,000 on this flop into 3 other players. A great spot for us. Button folds, small blind folds, and the action back over on me. The question now is, should I call or should I check raise? On such a dry board, I feel like I want to allow him to keep betting aces and kings and queens, so I just make the call, and the turn card, not great. It's a queen. I check, and he instantly checks back. That's no good. He probably has jacks or 10s or maybe ace king. The river card luckily does not counterfeit us, and I'm going to go for value now. I bet 14,000, and he does make the call. I show my 2 pair, and it's good. He later said he had pocket jacks. Little disappointed. I probably just should have check jammed all in on the flop, and he would have called. We probably could have stacked him, but can't complain cracking an overpair with a suited connector. We just keep accumulating chips. Now with over a 200,000 chip stack, we've now made it to level number 13. There's 41 players left on the day. 27 players make the money, and then 18 players make it to day number 2. It's getting close to crunch time, but luckily we have a lot of chips, so we can somewhat relax. Relaxing, however, is not what we're going to get. I call a raise in the big blind by an aggressive player with king-queen offsuit, and we go heads up where I flop top pair. I check over to him. This player has definitely been betting. He got caught bluffing one time earlier. It seems like he's trying to put a lot of pressure on people getting closer to the money bubble. He bets out 8,000 with my top pair. Not loving this situation, but obviously I'm never folding, so I make the call for 8,000. Turn card doesn't improve anything, doesn't change anything, and I check over to him, and he continues for a 24,000 chip bet. This is escalating quickly. It seems to me that he's trying to set up a river jam all in for his last 60 or 70,000 chips. I basically have to make up my mind now if I'm going to call this guy down or if I just want to fold here. Now, we're not really losing to many hands. We're losing to pocket 9s, queen 9, ace queen, pocket aces, and pocket kings. We're beating all of his bluffs like ace jack, jack 10, king jack. Sometimes tournament players turn lower pocket pairs into bluffs like pocket 7s or pocket 8s. I don't think I can ever fold to this guy, but I do take my time on the turn, make it look like I'm contemplating a call or a fold. I want him to think that I have a really tough decision so that if the river's a brick, maybe he'll go for it and triple barrel bluff. If he's got me beat with aces or kings or ace queen or pocket 9s, he's just going to take my money here. I've made up my mind. I'm going to call here, and unless the river card's an ace, an 8, or maybe a jack, I'll probably just call as well. The final river card pairs the board. It seems great for me. I check, and he does follow through, going all in for a huge portion of my stack. Made up my mind already. I make a quick call, and he says, "You're good," and shows king jack for a missed straight draw. King queen for top pair is good. I slide out my chips to make sure the dealer can see that I cover my opponent, and I do cover him, and this is a massive pot for us to win. We're close to the money bubble. Now we have about 300,000 chips. We can just easily cruise into the money. No stress. However, that hand was pretty stressful. I mean, if he did have him beat there, my stack would have been crippled. But I made up my mind on the turn. I knew this guy was capable of bluffing. We made the right call and won a big one. The biggest stack I have had all tournament looks like close to 300k. There's also now 36 players left, 9 away from making the money. Like I said, we can somewhat just cruise into this money finish here. Just a few spots away from the money, there's a very tight player under the gun who raises to 10k. He's got around 100,000+ chips. I don't really want to battle with him this close to the money bubble, so I just make the call with ace-queen offsuit. Small blind and short stack big blind make the call as well. 4 ways to an ace-9-10 board. When it checks to me, I bet out 15k, and only the big blind, who's very short stack, makes the call. Turn card 8, he checks. He doesn't have much left according to the size of the pot, so I go all in. He snap calls and shows jack 10 for a pair and a straight draw, and we hold with ace-queen, adding another 30 to 40,000 chips to our stack. I'm solely a cash game player. I hardly ever play tournaments because I feel like sometimes I just take up too much time and it's very hard to run good. But today we are running good. Over 300,000 chips in our stack. 29 players left on the day. 2 to the money. And we get there just a couple hands later.
Fucking ducked to myself in the car. But I just passed the fucking blind.
Oh, you didn't even say it.
They lost.
I was waiting for the tournament director to say, congratulations, you have all made the money, but that didn't happen. I get moved over to another table. I have over 300,000 in my stack. We're almost done on the day. We only have to lose 9 more players to make it to day number 2. There's an earlier position raised to 13,000 chips. I've got pocket 9s next to act. Don't really want to 3-bet this hand and get 4-bet by this opponent. I don't want to fold a hand this strong, so I just make the call. Cutoff player who is Scott Bumstein, very, very good accomplished tournament pro. In the cutoff goes all in for 90,000 chips. Back over to the initial raiser. If he calls, I'll be folding my pocket 9s, but the initial raiser decides to fold his hand. It's roughly 15 big blinds. I've got this stack to gamble, so I make the call with 9s and get shown ace jack offsuit. It is a race for a big 200,000+ chip pot.
You're not allowed to video in here.
Damn, jack on the flop, and we are not going to hold here with our pocket 9s. We lose 90,000 chips in our stack. Still sitting good, though, over 200,000 before I get dealt in king 3 of hearts. There's 2 limps to me, small blind calls, and I check my option, and we don't flop anything on an ace-high board. However, the turn card gives us a flush draw and a gut shot straight draw. Now the small blind, who just called pre-flop after 2 players limps, leads out now for 15,000 chips. Well, once the action checks all the way around in the flop and there was no raising pre-flop, don't feel like anyone's going to have a strong ace here. This deuce should not change anything at all. I have a 3 in my hand. I could have 3-4 for a straight. I can have all the 2 pairs on this board as well. I think this is a spot that I could try a bluff. A semi-bluff here to try to put pressure on a weaker ace, or maybe a 7x hand, or a straight draw like something he may have as well. So I bump it up, my first big bluff of the day, to 43,000 chips. I just lost 90,000 chips, losing a flip, pocket 9s to ace jack. If my opponent calls here and I miss the river, I'll probably lose another half of my stack as well. My heart rate is starting to increase. I've been playing good all day, making good decisions, winning big pots. Would I blow it all here at the end, only 2 away from the money? I'm hoping he folds and we don't have to try to get there on the river, but if he does call, I may empty the clip. Luckily, though, that doesn't happen. Our semi-bluff gets through. My opponent folds and we chip up a little bit after losing that big flip. It's getting late. I've been here all day. There's 20 players left, 2 more to bust out to make the money. 176 entrants in this flight. We now have 240,000 chips in our stack, and we have done it. 2 players bust out. We've officially made it to day number 2 of the Harrahs WSOP Circuit main event. We get to bag up our chips, which I haven't done for a while. A lot of the main events I've been playing, I bust out on day number 2, so it feels good to bag a pretty healthy stack coming back in 3 days on Sunday for day number 2, where I get to play for hundreds of thousands of dollars. It is time, day 2 of the main event, Harrahs Pompano Beach, $218,000 for first place. We're coming back to level number 16. I'm going to have around 30 big blinds, which is a ton for a poker tournament. Unfortunately, I'm not too studied in 30 big blind, 20 big blind, 10 big blind poker, calling ranges, shoving ranges. I don't really know much about that. I play cash games 100 to 300 big blinds deep every single day. So I don't feel super confident with my game, although I'm going to try to just play exploitative. I'm going to try to play with my gut. I'm going to try to just go with my reads and hope that it works out. There's 83 players left, $218,000 for first place. The big money jumps come on later in the evening. I haven't really ran deep in a tournament for about a year and a half. That was a $10,000 score. This could be big. I am excited. I'm hopeful, a little nervous. I'm running late. I got about 5 minutes to get there, so we're going to see what happens. Let's go. I make it inside and find my seat right in time for the shuffle up and deal. Day number 2, 30 big blinds. Throughout the first about hour and a half or so, I raise some hands and win. I call some hands and lose. And now with 69 players left, I have around 14 big blinds in my stack. After trying to be patient, not getting too much going, I raised a 25K with pocket kings. Great spot to be in here. Only the small blind makes the call, who seems a little bit splashy, doesn't seem like a professional tournament player. We're going heads up here, in position, short stack for us, and we hit top set on a king 3 deuce flush draw board. My opponent checks, I bet 20K, and he makes the call. Turn card ace of clubs, he checks again. I now size up to 50,000, and he snap calls this $50,000 bet. I feel like he probably has the ace X flush draw, no black card on the river, and we hit the 6 of hearts. A beautiful run out for us. We are losing to a straight, but other than that, feel pretty good about my hand. I've got 102K left in my stack, and I go all in, hoping for a double up. Once we fade the snap call here, that means he doesn't have a straight. He doesn't have aces for a bigger set. We are now rooting, hoping, praying for a call. Chips mean so much in this stage of the tournament. Day number 2, halfway through. We need some chips here. I was down to around 14 big blinds before this hand. If I win this hand and get called, we'll be sitting pretty with over 30 big blinds. My opponent goes into the tank for a while. Over 2 minutes of thinking for him. I'm staring at the board, right at the king, hoping he calls, and eventually he does put in the chips. Kings are good versus ace-jack offsuit. Sick hand for us. The biggest pot I've won all tournament. Right in crunch time. Day number 2. Huge pot for us with top set of kings. After this hand, I stack up my chips and see that I have 417,000 chips, which is good for 34 big blinds. This is exactly what we needed. We now can relax a little bit. We're not getting close to that crunch time push fold. And another big hand comes up versus the same player from before. He raises from under the gun to 3x, 36,000 chips. He has won a couple big pots, so now he slightly covers me. I call with pocket 9s on the button. Just from watching him play the last 2 hours, seems like someone I'd want to be playing pots with. We go heads up to queen 10-7. Obviously not a great board for pocket 9s, but my opponent now checks over to me. Not going to be putting money in when there's 2 overcards of the board against my pair, so I check back. Turn card deuce of clubs. My opponent now checks again. I feel like it's very possible he could have something like pocket 8s or pocket 9s as well. Feel like he would be c-betting hands like ace-jack, king-jack, and ace-king. I think about betting small here on this turn to get hands like 8s or 9s to fold, but I feel like that's a little too thin, so I check back and hit a 9 of clubs on the river. A set for us, and now my opponent, who raised 3x under the gun, checked the flop, checks the turn, now leads into me for a 65,000 chip bet. This is a huge bet according to the size of the pot. It's a very large bet representing hands like flushes and straights. Maybe slow played sets, seems a little unlikely. Maybe he could have aces. I could raise here, but decide to just play it nice and safe and just make the call. And it doesn't matter because he shows ace-king for a bluff. Pocket nines set on the river is good. Another big pot going in our direction. We now have the biggest stack we've had this entire tournament, over 500,000 in front of us. I lose around 100k with ace-king suited versus king-jack, so now my stack is around 400-ish. I have around 30-ish big blinds before I'm going to cut off with ace-jack of clubs. A very good hand. When it folds to me, I raised to 25k before the player on the button, who is the deepest, biggest stack at my table, 3-bets me to 75k. These are the spots in tournaments I just don't know what to do. We have 35-ish big blinds facing a 3-bet from the button by the big stack with ace-jack suited. Do we go all in? Do we call? Do we fold? I feel like it's better to just call here, kind of play small ball poker, see what happens on the flop. Don't risk all my chips if I don't have to. And we get a good flop where it comes out king 8-9, 2 clubs. We have the nut flush draw and an overcard to the board. I check to my opponent, who bets a little bit less than 1/3 size of the pot. He bets 50k. Back over on me. I look at my stack. Looks like I've got about 300-ish thousand remaining. This is another spot where I'm not sure what I want to do. I think it can't be wrong calling here out of position, but it also could be good just going all in. I have a ton of equity against one pair hands. I can get him to fold out smaller pairs, ace, queen. So after thinking about it a little bit of time, this is a button re-raise by the big stack. He could be super wide. I'm going to go with my hand, put my tournament life on the line with a flush draw, and go all in. All in?
All in.
After going all in, my opponent snap folds. Whew, that is what we wanted. We take down this pot back up to 570k chips with 58 players remaining now. I now get dealt in queen jack of hearts from early position, 500 plus thousand in my stack. The big blind player has around 11 big blinds, so I do have to be a little bit careful opening up from early position into a shorter stack big blind. But I feel like with queen jack of hearts, we're going to be raised calling off if he does decide to shove. So I make it 30k. The button calls 30k before the big blind does go all in. It ends up being around 10 big blinds that this player goes all in with. I'm trying to win this tournament, not just slide by and skim by. These are the kind of pots you need to take advantage of if you want to try to win. You got to build a big stack. I could be a nit and fold here for 8 big blinds more, or I could gamble. So I decide to re-jam with queen jack of hearts. Button folds. We're up against a7 we have to hit in order to win this pot, and unfortunately we do not. My opponent makes the full house, and just like that, we lose around 10 big blinds here with queen jack of hearts. Over the next hour, things do not go my way. As you can see, we're down less than 200k. I do get all in though with ace jack versus ace 3 for my 9 big blinds. My opponent flops a straight draw, and we chop on the river when the board double pairs. This hand, I remember, made me super tilted because I was so close to a double up, but hey, we are still in the tournament. As you can see, we are all in again. I folded for about an orbit, and now I'm all in for 11 big blinds. My tournament life with ace queen suited, a great premium hand, until the opponent on my left next to act calls my all in with around 500k in his stack. That seems pretty strong, like he could have jacks, queens, kings, aces, or ace king. And we do see that he's got pocket kings. We're behind. We gotta get lucky. Yes, we do it. We end up hitting an ace on the flop with a flush draw. We crack pocket kings to get a double up. I now have 460k in my stack when I'm in the big blind and get dealt in pocket aces. Wow, this is sick. There's a raise to 40k. There's a cutoff call for 40K, and then the button re-raises to 120K, and I've got aces in the big blind. This is a dream spot in a poker tournament. I go all in, 2 hands in a row. Early position raiser folds, cutoff player folds, but the button goes into the tank and is thinking. He's got around 600K, so this would be a big pot for him if he calls and loses. But when he re-raises from an early position open, I feel like he should have a strong hand. We have the best hand, hoping for a call, but that doesn't happen. Eventually, he folds his cards on the button, which is fine with me. Pocket aces taking down a big pot here pre-flop. We didn't even have to risk our tournament life. And now we have over 700K in our stack. We cracked pocket kings with ace-queen suited. We got aces next to act. I spun my short stack in 2 hands up to 35 plus big blinds. Over the next hour, we lose about 12 more players. We've made it to the final 3 tables of this tournament. We redraw. This is becoming huge for me. This is the deepest I've ever run in a tournament at this size in my life. I'm getting kind of nervous. $200,000 for first place. I find my second table of the day. The chip leader's on my right. Could be good, could be bad. We will see. I've got around 400,000 in my stack. We're getting shorter now, probably around 10 to 15 big blinds before going on a break. All right, made it to the third break of the day. 26 players left out of 815 players. We're at 6,700 guaranteed now, still $218,000 up top. I've got about 14 big blinds going back. Pray. Let's go. About 30 minutes after that break, I have not won a single pot. I've been going through the blinds, losing 2.5 every single orbit, and now I'm down to my last 7 big blinds. I've been trying to stay patient, waiting for good hands. I do get king 8 suited on the button, and when it folds to me, I go all in for my last 7 big blinds. Small blind and big blind fold. We take down 2.5 big blinds here before looking down at pocket kings next. I raise all in and everybody folds. We take down another 2.5 big blinds. Now there's a button open by the big stack. Ace deuce offsuit in the big blind for me, around 10 big blinds. I jam all in and he folds as well. I've just been grinding this short stack, losing 2.5 big blinds, going through the blinds, and then picking up big blinds when I go all in and they fold. I've now gotten up to 425K, but the blinds go up now to 40,000. I still can't relax. I've got 10 big blinds and I am in early position. The blinds are coming up to me next. Got to make something happen, and we get dealt in a monster. Ace jack suited. All my chips are going in the center here. As you guys may know or have heard that I've said before, I'm a cash game player. I hardly ever play tournaments, but there's just nothing like the rush when you're all in for your tournament life, especially when there's less than 30 people left in the main event. $218,000 for first place. It's just such a sick feeling because everybody slowly looks at their cards, tries to make a decision. In this hand, I'm just hoping for folds. I want to stay alive. The button lets go of their cards, small blind lets go of her cards, and the big blind folds as well. We're staying alive, which is good. The longer we can stay alive, more people bust out. More players do bust out. We're down to the last 21, and I am still in it. Guaranteed $9,000 so far, and only 3 players away from the final 2 tables. With a little over 10 big blinds in my stack, the big stack button player opens. I jam all in with queen 9 suited. He gets a count and makes the call. Oh shit, queen 9 suited versus king 6 offsuit. We're behind, but we do have live cards. Going to the flop, which comes out all hearts. I flop a flush, but I'm not in the clear yet. My opponent has the king of hearts. I have to fade a heart that turns an 8 of diamonds. River's a king. And we hold. Huge double up with 21 players left. 475K in my stack. After winning this pot, we now have a 1 million chip count stack. I honestly cannot believe I made it this far in this tournament. Every time I thought I was going to die, I stayed alive. This is just insane. We are still in the running for a huge 200 plus K score. we do get let on a 1-hour dinner break. I get to go outside, get some fresh air and food, and relax. Holy shit, what a couple levels there. We were all in probably 7 or 8 times. Finally got called, flopped a flush, got myself up to 1 million chips. I'm on dinner break now. This is a wild, wild ride. There's 19 players left, 815 to start, 19 left, almost down to the final 2 tables. This is by far the deepest run I've ever made in a main event. My best run before this was like 81st place in a Hard Rock main event, so almost down to the final 2 tables of the tournament. $218,000 for first place. I just have to outlast 18 more people, and we got this. I'm just really just grinding away with this short stack. I was at 10 to 15 big blinds for like the past 3-4 hours or so, just trying to grind away, and it's crazy, man. I mean, the adrenaline rush is wild in these tournaments. It's so much different than cash games when you can sit there and talk and relax. I mean, you're just always on edge in these tournaments. You're always waiting, you know, for a big hand. The adrenaline rush when you go all in, it's crazy. This is, I can see why people get hooked for these, but I'm pretty tired. We've been playing for about 8 hours so far, but I feel good. The adrenaline's just kind of keeping me going. We have another 3 hours left after dinner break, so plan is to just keep playing solid, trying to pick my spots well. Obviously, I've been running well today. Things have been going my way in all-in pots, and I'm hoping to just keep that going. Let's get to the final table. Let's go. Back from the hour-long dinner break, one table has 7 players, and the other 2 tables have 6 players, including mine. When you're playing 6-handed, the blinds go around a lot more often. I haven't picked up any playable hands. My $1 million stack has now shrunk to around 750K. I've got Queen Jack offsuit in the cutoff and decided to min raise to 100,000 here. My thoughts about not going all in is that if I min raise and someone does jam, I could fold my cards potentially and try to get another money jump. One more player has to get out and we get a money jump, and once I get to 2 tables, it will be a lot slower with the blinds coming around. So ICM here, we're just trying to min raise and hope that we don't get jammed on, which doesn't happen. The small blind calls 100K, and now the big blind, who's got around a little more chips than me, makes the call for 100K as well. So we're going to the flop 3 ways: Queen Jack offsuit to Jack 7-9 rainbow, giving me top pair. This is a pretty wet and connected board though. There's some 2 pairs, some sets, there's some straights out there. Small blind big stack player checks. Big blind now leads into me for a 100K bet. While all this is happening, I see and hear that another player busts out at the table next to ours. So we've officially made it to 18 players. We're down to 2 tables. I made the money jump. I got top pair on this board. I don't think I can go anywhere with my stack size according to the size of the pot. So I decide to go all in. Right when my chips cross the line, the small blind player rejams for over 2 million, and immediately my heart drops. This player in the small blind's a recreational player who hasn't really done anything at this table unless he has a super strong hand. I think he probably has a set here, 2 pair, a straight, or a better jack than me. I'm thinking to myself, my tournament life is over. If I roll over my hand and he has a set, I'm basically drawing dead. If he has ace-jack, I'm probably drawing dead as well. This is such a gross spot. The action's now on the big blind who let out for 100K. Eventually he folds. I turn over my cards and get the best news possible when the small blind has Queen 10 for an open-ended straight draw. We're actually ahead and we're in great shape to double up. All I have to do to stay alive is fade an 8 or a king. The turn card's a queen, giving me 2 pair now. He can't win unless he hits a king or an 8. And the final card, the sweat is insane, is a 4 of hearts. We hold. Huge pot for us. Massive, massive double up with 18 players left in the WSOP circuit main event. This is insane. Holy crap. My hands are shaking. The adrenaline is going wild. I have over 1 million chips in my stack now. They give me a rack because we're going to redraw tables. We have officially made it to the final 2 tables of this tournament. 18 players left. I have 1.5 million chips in my stack. This is unreal. For the first time in a long time, I have over 30 big blinds. I get to just relax and let the smaller players battle it out. I don't have to try to double up. I don't have to try to go all in. I do raise here to 100K over a 50 big blind with pocket queens. Everybody folds. We take down 2.5 more big blinds. We've now made it another pay jump. 13K locked up. Playing 2 more levels tonight. With 15 players left, 13,000 locked up, I raise pocket 9s under the gun to 100K. The short stack player in the top left-hand corner goes all in for 500K, which is 10 big blinds. If it folds back over to me, I'll be snap calling this and hoping we're ahead. The cutoff player folds, button player folds. Small blind player, though, goes into the tank. He is thinking for a while. It doesn't look like he's going to let go of his cards, and eventually he jams all in for over 1 million chips. This is pretty gross here with pocket 9s. We raise from early position. There's a jam for 500K. Small blind rejams for over 1 million. Feel like we must be beat by one of these players, or at least flipping. Don't need to go to battle here just yet. So I make the disciplined fold here with pocket 9s, and it turns out one player had ace queen, small blind player had pocket jacks, jack 5-5 flop, and the ace queen player is busted out. We are down to 14 players left in this main event. 14 left. All right, we are on the last and final break of the day. It's 10 p.m. I've been here since noon, 10 hours straight of poker. There's still 2 more hours left to play. 14 people left. That queen jack hand was insane. I thought my tournament life was over. Jack high board, I go all in. Guy rejams for like 1.5 million, and I hold versus an open ender. I've got like 1.5 million chips. I've never been this deep in a tournament. I've never been in this spot before where I'm 13 people away from winning $218,000. It's exciting. It's like I'm just running off adrenaline right now and Hershey's chocolate bars, basically. I'm trying to like stay present in the moment. It's tough trying to film for the vlog and try to do this. I only play cash games, so this tournament stuff is like super new to me. It's like crazy. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't know how to play 10 big blinds deep. I don't know opening ranges off 20 big blinds. I don't know what hands to call with. I'm just going off my gut. I'm going off feel. So far it's been working. I've been getting lucky and holding in big spots, but yeah, we're sitting really good right now. I think coming back after this break, we'll probably have like 25-ish big blinds. Very excited, hoping to just keep cruising along. 14 people left. We got 2 more levels tonight. Let's do it. Coming back from the last break, it has become a grind. Nobody busts out for about 45 minutes, and my chips dwindle down from 1.5 million to 750K. I just can't get too much going. It's pretty frustrating. I'm in the big blind now with Jack 8 of clubs. There's a raise in the cutoff to 2x. I call for 1 big blind more, leaving me with 9 big blinds left. Flop comes out 8, 9, deuce, 1 club. We flop second pair. At this point in the tournament, every hand matters. It's extremely stressful. On this flop, the action actually goes check, check. And turn, queen of clubs now gives me a straight and flush draw along with a pair. I could lead out here, but I decided to check over to my opponent, who now bets 125K. He could have hands like ace-queen, king-queen, queen-jack. I think he would probably bet on the flop. He could have also hands like ace-king or ace-jack. Not really sure what to do here with my stack size. 9 big blinds, pair, and straight and flush draw. He's got about 1 million chips in his stack. He's not going to want to put all of his chips in there unless he has a really good hand. So I decide to try to apply max pressure and go all in. I'm risking my tournament life here on a semi-bluff. Let's hope this gets through. Once I go all in, he doesn't snap call. That's great, meaning he doesn't have ace-queen or king-queen or slow-played set or aces. He thinks for a little bit of time, eyeing me up. I'm trying to stay calm. My heart rate is racing through the roof. Please, please, poker gods, let me get this one through. And he folds. Oh my God. Thank you for that. After winning this pot, we are back up to a 1 million chip stack. Still with 14 players left, one orbit later, we are all in again. Under the gun min raises, I've got 16 big blinds and pocket queens. This is it. Let's get another double up here. Pocket queens, third best hand you can get. Oh man, this would be so sick if I got another double up and have over 2 million chips in my stack. The action folds at the cutoff, who folds, button folds, small blind folds, big blind folds. The initial raiser looks back at his cards and snap calls my bet. This is it. 14 players left. We're all in. 1 million chips with pocket queens and get shown pocket kings. Oh no, don't do me like that. Kings versus queens. I've been playing this tournament for 2 full days. I've been all in dozens of times. The stress, the highs, the lows. This has been an insane journey so far, and we got into a cooler situation with 14 players left. Queens versus kings, but it's not over yet. We could hit a queen, a flush, or a straight to stay alive, going to the flop, which is not good for us. It's 6, 7, 9. Turn cards an 8, which does give us some chop outs. Any 10 or any 5 will give us a chop. Going to the final card, which is a king. And that is it. We are out. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, that is it. Our tournament life has finally come to an end. 14th place for $13,441. It's a bittersweet moment. It's my biggest tournament score ever. It's my biggest tournament profit ever. I was in for $0. It was a free roll for me. 0 risk, all the reward, but it's just so tough. It's so annoying. I had my eyes set on that $200,000. I was only 13 people away from winning $200,000. It was so close, and I just couldn't do it. I feel happy with the way I played, though. I feel excited that I was able to make it this far, but it's obviously a big letdown. I mean, $13,000 is nice. It's not life-changing money. It's definitely going to help my month out, but I was looking for that top prize, that $200,000+. I do feel good with the way I played, though. I played over 20+ hours of tournament poker, something that I'm really not comfortable with. I hardly ever play tournaments. I grind cash games day after day after day. I'm playing 100 to 200 to 300 big blinds deep cash games, so to come in here and have to grind out a short stack of 8 big blinds and 10 big blinds and 12 big blinds, I got no clue what I'm doing. I'm just winging it. I'm just going with the flow, and I felt like I did that pretty well. I felt like I stayed patient. I stayed disciplined. I didn't get frustrated. I didn't just go all in because I was annoyed. I felt like I was able to keep my head in the game, which in these tournaments, you have to constantly be focused. You have to be ready, especially if you're a short stacked. And I felt like I grinded that short stack well, got up to 1.5 million at my top, slightly went down, and then the last hand, pocket queens to pocket kings, cooler fashion, couldn't get there, out, 14th place. But it was a lot of fun. I'm really happy with the way I played. Great tournament here run by Harrahs Pompano Beach and also the WSOP circuit staff. They were great. The dealers were great. Everyone did a wonderful job. I'll definitely be coming back to this tournament series when they come back in the future, and maybe we'll be playing more tournaments. I don't know. I obviously am going to have the itch and going to have the bug. I'm going to have to study, though, if I'm going to spend my own money on these things, but it was a lot of fun. I'm sure this video is very long. Who knows how long this video, probably 40, 50 minutes, but if you made it all the way this far, I appreciate it. Please hit the like button, comment. The more comments the video gets, the more YouTube will push it out to more people. I do cash game videos just like this, traveling around the country. Hope you guys enjoy this one. Until next time, I'll see ya.